Shabbos comes alive. Likras Shabbos lechu v'nelcho, ki hi makor habrocha. Shabbos is a fountain of abundance, brocha, and wealth for each and every Jew. It is the source of brocha for every day of the week. How shall this abundance flow towards us? The observance of Shabbos is the channel through which the brocha arrives at every day of the week. Together, we shall learn the laws of Shabbos. We shall open the faucet to this abundance, the brocha of Shabbos. Friday. Sunlight is already beginning to fade. In the background, the siren heralding the approach of Shabbos echoes. And before the men leave for shul to say Kabbalas Shabbos and sing L'chot Doidi, diligent Akros Bayis check to make sure that everything is all set for Shabbos HaMalka. The large dining room table has been delightfully set, and in the kitchen, Tarnagolim Mefutamim Miba'oid Yom Muchanim. The cholent is bubbling on the hot plate, spreading its special aroma throughout the house. The soup is steaming, and a delicious fragrance of fish fills the room. Salads and dips are plentiful, and myriad desserts lie safe in the fridge. One can breathe easy. All is ready for the Kala, Shabbos Malkasa. Is everything really ready for Shabbos? Are we ready for Shabbos? Do we know how to act in every case and in each situation? The Chofetz Chaim writes in the preface to his book, the Mishnah Brura, the avoidance of Shabbos prohibitions is impossible without thorough learning of all Shabbos laws. Let us prepare for Shabbos. This time we shall learn about the laws of Muktzah. What is Muktzah? Objects that are forbidden to be moved on Shabbos. Before we begin to learn the laws of Muktzah, let's understand why Chazal established the concept of Muktzah. Let's meet David. David is a cook and a baker. All week, David is busy up to his neck, kneading and baking. Fussing and organizing. Frying. Cooking, spicing. And also, tasting. Shabbos.
Good Shabbos. Good Shabbos. Nobody's at home. They probably haven't yet returned from shul. Well,
this is how David looks before Chazal established the prohibition of Muktzah.
What should I do now? Oh, now I remember. I wanted to bring the stereo system from the room to the dining room. Oh, now I have time for it. Perfect. Whew. Yeah. Now what should I do? Oh, now I remember. My wife asked me to put the sewing machine back in the room. Perfect time for it. harder on Shabbos than during the week. Whew.
This is what David looks like on Shabbos, after Chazal decreed the prohibition of muktzah.
What should I do now? Shabbos. Ya di da ya 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 yo 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 ya 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 Tanu Rabbanon deles shel shida v'shel teya v'shel migdal noitlim aval loy machzirin v'shelul shel tarnagolim, the little chickens, lo notlim v'lo machzirin.
The Rambam adds another rationale for the prohibition of muktzah. For fear that if one moves an object used to perform a malacha forbidden on Shabbos, he shall come to use it to perform a malacha. Before Chazal established the prohibition of muktzah, the cellular phone, for example, could remain tucked away in one's shirt pocket on Shabbos.
What did I do? I was just mechalel Shabbos.
And if the notepad and pen were indeed left in one's shirt pocket?
Avram, it's been ages.
David, how are you?
Fine, thanks God. How are you? What are you doing?
Amazing. Listen, I must go to shul now, so...
No problem, just give me your phone number.
Okay, so hurry up, please. Okay?
Yeah.
5122770. You got it?
Okay, good Shabbos, thanks.
Call me. Shabbos, good Shabbos.
What did I do? I was just mechalel Shabbos.
Avram was a simple clerk. Even as he was filling out his lottery ticket, he did not consider that something was about to change. But the big win transformed his life. Nowadays, he spends his time in complete leisure, with neither work nor other obligations. To Avram, there's no difference between Shabbos and regular days of the week. Either way, he's busy resting. This is Avram on Wednesday. And this is Avram on Thursday. On Friday, Avram is no different. And on Shabbos, still the same. This is why Chazal established the laws of muktzeh. They sought to make sure that the difference of Shabbos will be obvious also on Avram and those like him, who will be forbidden to move objects in the same manner that they do during the week.
Good Shabbos!
The Raavad suggests another reason, which is, lest he come to conduct the transgression of carrying from one domain to another. Had Chazal not forbidden the moving of muktzeh, David could have gone to shul while his pen was still tucked in his shirt pocket. In that case, David would have come to carry from the private domain to the public domain, thereby being Machal Shabbos Midioraisa.
Hello, Daniel. How are you?
Baruch Hashem, Naftali. How are you?
Baruch Hashem, come in.
Thank you.
Abba, look who came.
Hello, Daniel. Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Rabbi Wolf. How are you?
Baruch Hashem and yourself.
Baruch Hashem, I'm doing well.
Lovely seeing you with us.
You as well. Thank you very much.
Please come in.
Thank you.
How was this month?
Oh, Baruch Hashem, we finally finished Psachim.
Lovely.
Yeah.
And what's next?
Shabbos.
You started preparing yourself?
I did actually. I opened up the Mishnah Berurah the other day. I was going through the halachas. I just wanted to get a good basic understanding of what was going on. Everything, Baruch Hashem, went very nicely and smoothly, except for one thing. Hilchos Muktzah was very, very confusing.
Muktzah. You know, we have a short and easy way of learning Hilchos Muktzah in no time.
Really?
Would you like to start?
Can we start now?
Sure, let's go.
That'd be fantastic.
Come on. Naftali, come here, please. Do me a favor. I have the briefcase with the Muktzah illustrations. Please bring it. Thank you. Make yourself comfortable.
Thank you.
You know, I noticed that when you learn Muktzah with illustrations, it makes it so much easier. You understand it better, everything goes easier. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Now, do me a favor. Get the 2 booklets on Hilchos Muktzah. You know them?
Yeah, okay.
Thank you. In these 2 booklets, Hilchos Muktzah are clear and short.
Wow, it's fantastic. That's exactly what I'm looking for.
So that's what we're doing here. Thank you.
Oh, these are some very impressive askamas of Chaim Kanievsky. Wow.
Okay. Chazal forbid moving certain objects on Shabbos. These objects are known as muktzeh. Muktzeh may not be moved or shaken. Therefore, we're not allowed to move muktzeh and not even cause it to shake.
What, can you even touch muktzah?
Yes, you can touch muktzeh as long as you don't move the muktzeh. For example, you're allowed to touch the washing machine, because when you touch a washing machine, the washing machine doesn't move. But you cannot touch the pen, because when you touch the pen, it can always shake a little bit. There are 4 types of muktzeh. First type of muktzeh is muktzeh machmas gufoy. If I translate that to English, inherently muktzeh, which means anything which is not a vessel, it's not a utensil, it's not human food, it's not animal food, that's called muktzeh machmas gufay.
Can you give me an example?
Sure. A stone. It's not a utensil, it's not a vessel, and it's not food. Pieces of wood, the same. Sand. Muktzeh machmas gufay cannot be moved for any purpose, even for a permissible action. For example, to use the stone to crack a nut. And that's what Chazal say, muktzeh machmas gufay cannot be moved even letzorach gufay. In addition, if the stone is on a chair, I cannot move the stone from the chair in order to sit on the chair. That's what Chazal say, that you cannot move muktzeh machmas gufay for letzorech mekoimoy. That's also. As well as, I'm not allowed to move this muktzeh if I'm concerned it may get stolen or ruined.
Rabbi, what do you care if your rock gets stolen or ruined?
You're right, but these examples, I'm really not concerned if it gets stolen or ruined. But there are examples that I will be concerned if it gets stolen or ruined.
Can you give me an example?
Sure. Coins. It's not a vessel, it's not a utensil, it's not edible. And a raw potato.
But Rabbi, animals eat raw potatoes.
You're right, but since this potato wasn't intended for animals, it was bought for human being, and now it's not cooked, no human being can eat it till the end of Shabbos, therefore it's considered as muktzeh machmas gufay. In other words, in order that the object will not be considered as muktzeh, it has to be suitable for its purpose and intended for that purpose. Now, Daniel, I would like to go with you to the kitchen and let's see if you understood all what we learned about muktzeh machmas gufay up to this point.
Let's go.
Daniel, inside the freezer we have muktzeh machmas gufay items, and we have items that are not muktzeh at all. I would like you to point out to me what is muktzeh machmas gufay and what's not muktzeh.
Okay, I'll give it a shot, Rabbi. Well, this dough is muktzeh machmas gufay because you can't eat it until you bake it.
Right? Great.
And these frozen French fries are muktzeh machmas gufay because you can't eat them until you cook them.
You got it.
And the fish would also be muktzeh machmas gufay because you can't eat the fish until you prepare it.
Great.
So all this other fish would be the same thing. And the chicken would also be muktzeh because it's raw.
But raw meat is different. I also thought that raw meat should be considered as muktzeh. But the Gemara says it's not muktzeh. Since at the time of the Gemara there were people who used to eat raw meat.
No one eats raw meat today.
Right, In our days, no one eats raw meat, but at the time of the Gemara, there were people who used to eat raw meat. So there are three opinions about it. The one opinion says we go everything according to what was at the time of the Gemara. The Gemara states that some people eat raw meat, that's why raw meat isn't considered as muktzah. The other opinion says we go according to our days. Since in our days people do not eat raw meat, that's why it's considered muktzah. Then you have the third opinion. It says that even at the time of the Gemara, it was only poultry, soft meat, which wasn't considered as muktzah. But red meat was muktzah even at the time of the Gemara. Halacha l'maaseh. The best is not to move raw meat at all. However, in a case of a necessity, you're allowed to move poultry meat and even red meat, but that's only in a case of a necessity.
Rabbi, what about food that was already cooked and now it's frozen? Is that muktzah?
No, that's not considered as muktzah. Since it can be defrosted and then we can eat it on Shabbos, that's why it's not considered as muktzah. And you know what? Even vegetarian hot dogs are not considered as muktzah, since I can warm them on a pot which is on a hot tray on the top of the urn, so I can eat it on Shabbos. It's not considered as muktzah.
All of these things here are muktzah and you can't move them on Shabbos at all? I never knew such a thing.
You know what? You're not the only one.
Rabbi, now I realize that it's so easy to accidentally move muktzah on Shabbos inside the freezer. What can I do?
What I suggest is you organize the freezer. On one side you put all the muktzah, and on the other side you put all the non-muktzah.
That's a great idea.
Let's do it.
Well, the carrots are not muktzah, so we'll put them on the right. But the meat, which is muktzah, we'll leave on the left.
Yeah.
Oh, but the challah, which is not muktzah, will go on the right with the carrots. The uncooked chicken is muktzah, so we'll put it on the left. But the cooked chicken is not muktzah, so it'll go on the right. This uncooked dough is muktzah, so we put it on the left. And the uncooked french fries are also muktzah, also on the left. But the vegetarian hot dogs, which are not muktzah, go on the right. And the fish, which we said is yes muktzah, goes on the left.
That's a Shabbos-tik freezer.
Once, the Wolves forgot to arrange their freezer before Shabbos. Let's see how they handled the situation.
Look, someone had a bite from the lechem mishneh. We can't use it.
Uh-oh. Avremi, check if we have a lechem mishneh in the freezer.
Abba, what? Can we make a lechem mishneh with a frozen challah?
According to most poskim, you can use even a frozen challah for lechem mishneh. Although some poskim say you cannot, so we can defrost the challah on the urn, and then we can for sure use it for lechem mishneh.
Abba, I see a challah.
Good. Take it out, but make sure not to move any muktzah there.
What's muktzah in the freezer?
All the raw food, uncooked food, is considered muktzah.
I see dough in front of the frozen challah. What should I do?
Well, so try and move it with your elbow.
Abba, I can't move it.
Then take a knife, and with the knife, try and move the dough, and then you'll get to the challah.
But what would a knife help? Anyway, those muktzah.
Muktzah, you're not allowed to move it directly, but in certain cases, you're allowed to move it indirectly, like with a knife. That's considered tiltul min hatzad.
Abba, the dough fell down.
Oh, so I'm coming there. Daniel, an interesting muktzah case. Daniel, the dough is on the floor. Do you think we have a solution for that?
I have a solution. I'll take the spatula, pick the dough up with the spatula, and put it in the freezer.
No, that's also.
Why? It's tilton min hatzad.
You're a smart boy. But tilton min hatzad is allowed only when you do it for the sake of the non-muktzah. Like you were moving the dough for the sake of the challah. But tilton min hatzad is not allowed for the sake of the muktzah. Therefore, you cannot move the dough in order to save the dough.
Abba, could you hold this for a second? The meat fell down.
Pick it up, put it back in place.
But it's muktzah. It's not cooked.
Yeah, let me explain you. The Gemara says that since some people used to eat raw meat isn't considered as muktzah.
Who eats raw meat?
You're right. In our days, no one eats raw meat. But at the time of the Gemara, there were people that used to eat raw meat. But this is a complicated issue. So let's not go into it now. But halacha l'maaseh, rather not to move any type of raw meat. But in the case of a necessity, like in our case, you're allowed to move even red meat. That's why you're allowed to pick up the meat and put it back in the place.
Oh.
Rabbi, why did you tell Abrami to first use his elbow and then tell him to use the knife? Isn't it easier to use the knife?
Well, according to some poskim, using this method of the knife is not considered as tilton min hatzad. That's why I preferred that you would use first the method of the elbow. It didn't work. I offered him the second method.
Before we continue with the Shabbos meal, let's see how Rabbi Wolf and Daniel first learned about the types of muktzah that may be found in the kitchen.
Daniel, you have to pay attention as well to the door of the freezer. Because there are opinions that if in the door of the freezer we have muktzah, the door becomes a bosis ledover ha'asur, and then you cannot open and close the door on Shabbos.
What's a basis ledavar ha'asr?
Bosis ledover ha'asur is an additional category of muktzah, which means any item which is not muktzah but supports a muktzah when Shabbos comes in, the non-muktzah becomes a basis ledover ha'asur.
What's the halacha of a basis ledavar ha'asr?
Basis ledover ha'asur, the supporter gets the same status as the item upon it. For example, the candlesticks were on the table when Shabbos came in. The table will get the same status as the candlesticks. The same as the candlesticks cannot be moved letzorch guf or letzorch mekomo, for the sake of the place or for using the candlesticks. The same will be about the table, cannot be moved even letzorch guf or letzorch mekomo.
What if, in the middle of Shabbos, somebody takes the candlesticks off of the table? Then what status does the table have?
It remains muktzah, because the rule is whatever was muktzah when Shabbos came in remains muktzah till the end of Shabbos, even if the reason why it is muktzah does not exist anymore.
But Rabbi, I see plenty of people move their tables, even with the candlesticks on them.
Do you know why these people move the table on Shabbos? Because sometimes the table will not be considered as basis ledavar ha'asur. If when Shabbos came in addition to the muktzah, there was a non-muktzah, which is more important than the muktzah, then the table isn't considered as basis ledavar ha'asur. For example, if when the Shabbos came in addition to the candlesticks, there was on the table a challah, which is more important than the candlesticks, the table isn't considered as basis ledavar ha'asur.
There's something I don't understand. Okay, fine, the table's not a basis ledavar ha'asr, but when you move the table, you're also moving the candlesticks. And the candlesticks are still muktzah.
Correct. The candlesticks are muktzah. But since you move them indirectly, that's called tiltul min hatzad, and that's permitted.
Can you always move muktzah with tiltul min hatzad?
There are two cases you cannot use tiltul min hatzad. The first case, if you can avoid the tiltul min hatzad. For example, if you have coins on a chair, since you can tilt the chair and the coins will fall off, you're not allowed to use tiltul min hatzad. The second case, you cannot use tiltul min hatzad for the sake of the muktzah. For example, if you have a $100 bill on the floor, you are concerned it might get lost. You cannot use a broom to sweep it to a safer place.
Is there any way to move the money to a safer place?
Yes. According to the Mishnah Berurah, you can move the $100 bill using your leg or any part of the body except for your hand. That's considered as tiltul begufay, although there are opinions that you cannot use even this method.
I understand everything you're saying about a basis ledavar or aser, but what does that have to do with the freezer door?
When there is a muktzah in the freezer door becomes the basis for the muktzah. And then, according to some opinions, you're not allowed to open and close the freezer door.
So what am I supposed to do so I don't have a problem with muktzah in my freezer door?
There are two solutions. The first solution is to take out the muktzah before Shabbos. The second solution, you place another non-muktzah in addition to the muktzah. And the non-muktzah is more important than the muktzah. In such a case, it's not considered as basis.
How do you decide what's more important?
There are opinions that whatever I need for Shabbos is more important, even if the muktzah is more expensive. For example, if I have 3 packets of rice in the door that are worth $15, and the ice cream is worth only $5, but the ice cream I'm going to eat on Shabbos, for me, the ice cream is more important than the rice. Therefore, I'm allowed to close the door on Shabbos. It's not basis, the davar ha'asur.
What if I forgot to arrange the freezer door before Shabbos and there's muktzah in the door? Can I open it anyway?
The best is to open the door with your elbow.
Like this?
Precisely. Now let's have a look at the fridge. Raw eggplant, corn on the cob, yeast, it's muktzah machmas gufay.
And also the film.
Correct. Types of medicines that are rarely used and are kept in the fridge are considered as muktzah. Now let's look at the pantry. Now, Daniel, what's muktzah here?
Well, this uncooked rice is muktzah.
Yeah.
This flour is muktzah.
Mm-hmm.
These uncooked noodles are muktzah.
Sure.
This popcorn is muktzah.
Mm-hmm.
These beans are also muktzah.
Mm-hmm.
The farfel, muktzah.
Correct.
But there are also things in the pantry like these pretzels and these candies and these cookies here that are not muktzah.
Right.
So what am I supposed to do with my pantry?
What do you say?
Put all the muktzah in one place and everything that's not muktzah in another place?
The same as we've done in the freezer.
Oh, so I'll put my cookies here and the pretzels down here and all of these muktzah things I'll put up on top.
Great. Tea bags. According to some opinions, it is muktzah. According to some opinions, it's not muktzah. The same thing will be about fresh ground coffee.
What about instant coffee and cocoa powder?
Well, they're not muktzah, since you can use them on Shabbos.
pass along with the fish. Wow, this is fantastic.
Delicious, mommy. Thank you.
Children, do we have muktzah here on the table?
No.
No.
Well, I'm telling you that although we have no muktzah here, no one is going to bring muktzah to the table, but in a few minutes we're going to have muktzah here on the table.
Rabbi, how could that be?
Well, there are two parts of the fish. There's the meat part of the fish, and there are bones in the fish. As long as the fish and the bones are together, it's not considered as muktzah. But as soon as we're going to separate the bone from the fish, since there are no human beings that eat fish bones, then we'll have to check. If there are animals in our area that eat fish bones, then it's not considered as muktzah. But if we do not have animals in our area that eat fish bones, then it's considered as muktzah. Got it?
But where we live, there's lots of cats, and the cats eat fish bones. So why is it muktzah?
But that's not enough to prevent the bones from becoming muktzah. We need to have kind of animals that we are allowed to feed on Shabbos. Stray cat, we are not allowed to feed on Shabbos. Therefore, it's not enough, the stray cats that we have in our neighborhood.
What, it's also to feed stray cats on Shabbos?
We're not allowed to feed any kind of stray animals or birds. The only exception for the rule are stray dogs. You're allowed to feed stray dogs.
So then why don't we give the bones to the dogs?
Because in our neighborhood we have no dogs. If we had dogs in our neighborhood, it will be different.
Maybe the bone is muktzah.
As long as the bone is together with meat in my mouth, I'm allowed to take the bone out of my mouth.
What if the bone separates from the meat while it's still in my mouth?
The poskim state, in such a case, you push the bone out of your mouth using the tongue and the lips. I want you all to know there are opinions that you shouldn't take the bones and put it on an empty plate. Rather have on the empty plate some edible food. And that's how you'll be able to afterwards to take the bones and throw them to the trash can.
Abba, what about this bone? How should I move it? It's muktzah.
If the bone does not disgust anyone, then you can take a knife and with a knife push it on the plate. Tirtul min hatzad. However, if it does disgust someone, and in our case it was obvious that Naphtali is disgusted by this bone, then you can take the bone, pick it up, and throw it straight into the trash can. Avremi, please collect the fish plates to the kitchen.
Abba, but there is muktzah on the plate.
Avremi, what do you think?
Because we use the plate as tilton minatzad.
Very good. Avremi, don't move the garbage can.
Why not?
Let's leave that for another time. Naphtali, don't put it down on the table. Take it straight into the kitchen and throw it away.
Why?
There are opinions that an empty carton box, since no one uses it, it becomes muktzah. Therefore, as long as it's in your hand, you can take it and throw it away. If you'll put it down on the table, it becomes a problem. Now let's have a look at the new category of muktzah. Kli shemelachta le'isur, a tool which is mainly used for a forbidden action on Shabbos. The best example is the hammer.
Hey, we use that for nailing. Rabbi, you're not allowed to nail anything on Shabbos.
That's why it's called Kli shemelachta le'isur.
To understand the laws of Kli shemelachto le'isur, let's take a look at what happens when Tu B'Shvat falls on Shabbos.
Who knows how we are going to crack open this coconut?
I know, I will get a rock.
A rock? A rock is muktzah. But you can get a hammer.
But Rabbi, a hammer is also muktzah.
But we're talking here about two types of muktzah. There is muktzah of Kli shemelachta le'isur, and there is a muktzah machmas gufa. The stone, the rock, is a muktzah machmas gufa. You're not allowed to use it even for a permissible action. But Kli shemelachta le'isur, if you need to use it for a permissible action, you can do that on Shabbos. Thank you. Abraham, take a seat.
But there's a hammer on our chair.
So pick it up and take it to the place.
But it's muktzah.
But it's Kli shemelachta le'isur. Kli shemelachta le'isur, if you need the place, you're allowed to pick it up and take it to the place. So take it and put it in the toolbox. Naftali, give mommy a piece. For you one? Thank you. Remy, for
Thank
you.
you, Abba.
And for you, Naftali, the final last piece.
Abba, look, I have a beard.
Naftali, it's muktzah. Drop it.
But Abba, a minute ago you gave me the peel.
Naftali, a minute ago, the shell had a fruit in it. That's why it wasn't muktzah. Now, there's no fruit in it. It became muktzah.
But Abba, before, you gave me the hammer to put in the toolbox. But the hammer was muktzah.
There are two differences. First of all, the hammer is a Kli shemelachta le'isur. The shell is muktzah machmas gufa. In addition, the hammer, you had to sit here in your place. That's why you were allowed to pick it up and place it in the toolbox. But the shell, you were not allowed to pick it up at all. Since you were not allowed to pick it up at all, that's why you have to drop it now. The shells are muktzah. Daniel, you know, in the kitchen there are many utensils. People are not aware that they are muktzah.
Like what? A sifter?
Yeah, you're not allowed to sift on Shabbos.
Huh. Cookie cutters?
You're not allowed to do it on Shabbos.
A rolling pin? Can't do it on Shabbos. A meat tenderizer? A basting brush? A potato masher? A garlic press?
And the oven door is considered Kli shemelachta le'isur. But if you have food inside the oven, so then you're allowed to open it in order to take the food out. If you open the door and you left it open, and now it's in your way, you're allowed to close it. But if it's not in your way, you're not allowed to close it. The same thing will be about the dishwasher. The door is considered Kli shemelachta le'isur. You're not allowed to open it on Shabbos unless you want to store dishes inside the dishwasher. Now, muktzeh machmas chesron kis, which means any utensil that the owner is careful not to move unnecessarily or to use it for any purpose other than its intended function in order that it not be damaged. For example, food processor blade. That is muktzeh machmas chesron kis. The mixer has two types of muktzeh. The actual mixer is muktzeh machmas chesron kis, and the bowl is klisha melachta le'isur.
Rabbi, what's the difference in halacha between a kelisha melachta le'isur and muktzeh machmas chesron kis?
Well, klisha melachta le'isur, you're allowed to move it letzorach gufa letzorach mekomah, but muktzeh machmas chesron kis, you cannot move even letzorach gufa letzorach mekomah. Give me an example.
Well, if the mixer and the bowl are both on the counter on Shabbos, and I want to use the counter space, then I'm allowed to move the bowl, because it's a kelisha melachta le'isur. But I'm not allowed to move the mixer, because the mixer is muktzeh machmas chesron kis.
Perfect! Now let's have a look at this drawer. The peeler. It's muktzeh. We use it for peeling.
So, what's wrong with peeling on Shabbos?
That's bora. It's a forbidden action on Shabbos. It becomes muktzeh.
Huh. An ice cream scoop?
According to some opinions, it is considered as muktzeh.
A spatula?
It's not muktzeh. You use it for serving. You're allowed to do that on Shabbos. The same thing will be
The ladle.
you're allowed to serve food on Shabbos. It's not muktzeh.
An egg slicer?
You're allowed to slice eggs on Shabbos. It's not muktzeh. Daniel, what do you say about the paper towels?
Why should that be muktzeh?
In order to use it, you have to cut it. You're not allowed to do it on Shabbos. It's muktzeh machmas gufoy.
Wow. So, it would be the same thing with the aluminum foil?
Unless you cut it before Shabbos.
And also the roll of trash bags?
That's right.
Wow.
Now, Daniel, matches. According to some opinions, this is considered as klisha melachta le'isur. According to other opinions, this is called muktzeh machmas gufoy.
But in order for it to be a kelisha melachta le'isur, it would have to have a permissible function. What can you possibly do with the match other than light it?
You can convert it into a toothpick. Now, frying pan. Klisha melachta le'isur, it's muktzeh. But the pots, according to some opinions, pots are not called muktzeh, since you can use them for storing. But most poskim hold that it is considered klisha melachta le'isur because the main function of the pots is cooking. Avremi, go to the kitchen and please get the soup.
But Rabbi, you told me that cooking pots are muktzeh, so how is a Brahmi allowed to bring the pot in to serve the food?
You're right, it is klisha melachta le'isur, but there are two explanations why we're allowed to use it. Number one, it's letzorach gufoy. Since I need to use the pot for a permissible action, therefore you're allowed to move it. Number two, the poskim say that as long as there is food in the pot becomes secondary to the food, and in such a case, the pot isn't muktzeh at all. Kariban
Olam
ve'yolam hayo Hantu malka melech malchayo Melech malchayo Oy vagabute Ve'simcha hayo Shefa kodamach Le'ach hayo.
Oh, have some more? I've run out. That's how much. Oh, seconds. Thank you. Gosh. I'm like afraid to check that. Yeah.
Abba, could I take the soup that's in the bowl and put it into the pot and put it back into the refrigerator?
If there's soup left in the pot, you can empty from the soup bowl into the pot. If there's no soup left in the pot, check if we have another storage container.
And if you find another container, so what?
Then you must use the container and not the pot.
But Rabbi, the pot is a keli shemalachto le'isser, and you want to use it le'tzorech gufo, so what's the problem?
But the Mishnah Berurah says that in a case that we have a permitted vessel and a prohibited vessel, we have to use the permitted vessel. Therefore, the storage container is a permitted vessel, I have to use that. So Avremi, next week, make sure that there's some soup left in the pot, and then it won't be a muktzah, and then you can use it. And Naftali, take the plates, please.
בשמחה אור ליהודים יום שבסון יום מחמדים שומרה וזכרה המה מעידים כי לשישה קרואים ויומדים שמי שמיים ארץ וימים כל צבא מרום גבוהים ורמים מה ידידוס מנוחסך עד שבס המלכה וכן נרוץ לקראתך בריחה לסוכה לבוש בגדיך המודרס להדליק נר בברכה.
Thank you.
No problem. Not much. Good. Good food. Wow, more food. This is incredible.
Avremi is struggling.
How you doing over there, man? Good jokes.
Listen, we have here a bone. Now, if it contains bone marrow, it's fit to be eaten by human. Then it's not muktzah. But if it has no bone marrow in it, then it becomes like the fish bones that we said before. And then it will be muktzah. You know, people are not aware about the garbage. This is muktzah machmas gufoy. And the garbage can is a basis l'davar ha'asur. Therefore, you're not allowed to move it on Shabbos. But there are opinions that you can place clean garbage bags before Shabbos underneath. Now, it's a supporter of a muktzah and a non-muktzah. And then you can move it on Shabbos. But some opinions do not accept this solution.
Rabbi, according to what you said, if there's a drawer with a garbage can inside of it, the entire drawer is a basis l'davar or asur, and then you can't open the thing at all.
You're right. Let's see that example. And when it's necessary, you're allowed to close it and open it with your foot. Okay, Mommy, are we benching now? Okay, let's bench. Naftali, get the benchers. Now, just be aware, all the crumbs that are less than kazais are considered muktzeh. You cannot move them with your hands. You can use a knife to clean them.
What, you mean like this?
Correct.
Shir hamalos b'shuv Adonai El shimatzi Yomayinu kecholmin Az yimales chorpinu Ushoneinu rina Az yomru v'agoyim Higdil Adonai lahasosim melech Higdil Adonai lahasosim Ayinu semekim Nai hayisi gam zakanti v'lo rayisi tzadik nezov V'zaro mevakesh lachem Adonai yov me'amo yiten Adonai yevarech es amo v'shalom. Rabbi, thank you so much. I learned so much about Muktzah at this Suda.
Me too. And you?